Welcome, everybody. I'm Jonathan, and happy to have you with us today as we dive into this month's kind of tool stack and what we're going to be going over. Looking forward to chatting with everybody today, sharing what I'm doing. I'm going to move a few windows around on my screen here just a minute, so we're got everything set, and we're going to dive in and talk about my tool stack. So the purpose of this, if this is your first time with us, first welcome. Glad to have you all here. If you've got questions, by the way, we will probably have some time for Q&A. Feel free to raise your hand. You can go down to the bottom of your Zoom window, and there should be either a raise hand and or a react button where there'll be a raise hand. You can raise your hand. I'll be able to see that, and I'll make sure that I call on you appropriately. You're welcome to put stuff in the chat as well, although just fair warning, I don't pay as much attention to that because I try to be looking at you guys here on the screen. So, but I will do that, and we will, by the way, have that chat available as a replay. So don't put anything in the Zoom chat you don't want everybody to see. We're going to go ahead and dive in today and talk about, again, what I'm using this month. My tool stack changes kind of month to month, depending on how things go. As you guys are probably aware, AI is changing incredibly rapidly, and there's always new stuff going on. And I'm excited today. I'm going to actually show you one thing I've never shown before on these calls, just because I've started doing it a lot more, and show you how easy it is to do some things. So let's dive right on in. Again, if you've got questions, feel free to let me know. Look forward to that. Would love to hear where everybody is from inside the chat. If you go ahead and can let us know, that would be fantastic. And Mark, to answer your question, yes, we will be posting and a recording of this when it's done, along with the chat as well. So love to see where we've got people from. Got Alice and all the way from the UK. That's fantastic. All right, well, let's dive in. I'm going to share my screen. You don't need to listen to me or look at me. We want to dive in and see what we're using. And the first tool that I'm using, and there's really two tools today from an AI perspective that I'm using probably about equally. One of those is Manus, and I'll show you why and some of what I'm doing. And the other is Gemini. And then part of this is tied up in the browser that I'm using. And I am using a browser called Comet from Perplexity. Many of you know that ChatGPT recently came out with their brand new browser, Atlas, last week. It's decent, it works well. It's just really slow in my experience. And so I've been using Comet for about a month and a half. And you'll see over here, it's from Perplexity. Perplexity, by the way, is one of the other sites that I use regularly and take a look at. So we'll be talking about that. And I have this assistant that I'll show you here a little bit later that I can bring in that brings AI into the browser. So AI browsers, by the way, are one of the new things that's really come along. But let's begin with my day-to-day go-to, and that's Gemini. You'll notice I didn't talk about ChatGPT today. It's not that it's not a good product, but I'm not using it very much anymore. I use it for my custom GPTs yet, and I really like it for that, but I'm not really using it outside of my custom GPTs. And in fact, most of my custom GPTs, I've moved over to Google Gems, which is Google's version of those GPTs. And to give you an idea how that works, I'm going to go ahead into Veronica, one that I use all the time. So Veronica is a custom trained tool that we've trained inside of Google Gemini. Again, if you're not familiar with GEMS, they're pretty much like custom GPTs, but you're using Gemini instead of ChatGPT. And I get to go ahead and give it a concept, and it will give me some social media posts from that, some thread-based posts. So let's go ahead and give it a concept. I'll show you the type of thing that I do. I'll even post it because it's the type of thing that I'm working on regularly. So I'm going to look over to the side here. I've got a note here on some misunderstandings about AI prompting, some research, and one of the topics is AI prompts. Let's do this. The misunderstanding that AI prompts, yes, I misspelled it, but Gemini's smart. It'll figure that out, are just for tech giants and highly technical teams. So according to the research I did, this is one of those topics that a lot of people are struggling with and maybe have a misunderstanding about. And I'd like to create some social media content. Instead of going ahead and trying to craft, post, and do that, I'm going to use Veronica, which is trained to go ahead and create posts. It's following its instructions as we watch here, but it's going to take that concept of the misunderstanding that AI prompts are just for tech giants and highly technical teams, and it's going to develop 5 threads for me. You can see here we go, and here's where it started. And I'll actually post one of these to Facebook. We'll take a quick look just to show you how we do this. So you think you need a computer science degree to use AI? That's what they want you to believe. I don't know if I like that so much. I don't think they want you to believe that. 99% of small business owners, whoops, I don't know, my internet connection just reset. I love it. Let's see that again. Love it when it does that. So, welcome to the world of live demos. Not sure why that happened, but we definitely got a reset. So, we lost that. I can see it's not over here on the side. So, somehow we lost that history. It'll give us something similar, and we'll dig in here and show you how that works. While it's thinking, though, let me hop over to Perplexity. Perplexity has really become my AI, well, my search engine, not just my AI search engine, but my search engine. I don't use Google hardly ever anymore. I don't remember the last time that I did. When I want to look up something, I'm going to go here. Prime example might be, let's see, I'm recently down in Alabama, and let's say I want to go visit the USS Alabama. What are the operating hours of the USS Alabama in Mobile? So I can just ask it a question that I might normally ask Chat, or in this case, Google, and you see super quick, it's going to come up, it's going to give me information. Unlike Google, though, it's actually going to give me the answer. So Google, as you know, a lot of times will give you websites to go to. It's given me that. I've got 11 sources here. I can click and view any one of those. I've got images, much like Google. That is the battleship that's there. And I've got hours, but notice it gave me an answer. It actually gave me the answer right here. It's open daily from 8 to 5, and the last ticket for the day is sold at 4 p.m. It's closed on Christmas Day. So just that fast I can do it. And again, I use this pretty much for all of my searches. Perplexity also has deep research that I like. I could dig into this further if I wanted to, but it's really a great tool that I use there. Let's go back to Gemini. It's still thinking. It looks like Gemini may be having some problems today. So we'll go ahead and try this one more time. And while it's thinking, there we go. We got back to it. There we go. So stop letting tech giants hoard AI. Here are 5 ways your small business can use simple prompts to level the playing field. I like that. So again, this was writing social media posts as I bounced around. By the way, welcome to my ADD world. I tend to run 3 to 4 tabs concurrently, and then 20 or 30 while they're open. I'm literally just going to pop over here. We're going to paste this in, give it a colored background. I like purple. We're going to say go, and we'll wait for just a moment while it lets me post that. And now I'm going to go back in and I'm going to proofread each of these as I post them. But here's some individual steps. This is kind of how a thread-based post works. To make it easy, I'll just copy all 5 of them really quick. We'll pop back over to Facebook. And this is just an example of how we can save a bunch of time with AI. To create this normally would have taken me probably 20 to 30 minutes. Now I can literally come in here, and as you can see, even with Gemini's cantankerous problems today, I can save a lot of time putting this together. I'm simply going to lay out each of my 5 prompts with my numbers here, and then we're going to copy the whole thing, and then I'm going to get rid of what I don't need. So we'll get rid of that. And notice now I can come back in really quickly, and I can post each one of these 5 threads. By the way, we have tested this for almost 2 months, and about 99% of the posts that come through here, we are able to post without any editing. And that's why in this case, because we're live, I'm actually not doing a lot of proofreading on these. I'm going to run into them, but these are decent. So for example, generate a customer persona, brainstorm a month of content, write persuasive ad copy, draft customer support emails, analyze competitor strengths. These are all things that, again, most any business can use to help level the field. And that's a way that we use Gemini, that I use Gemini on a regular basis. The other one that I'm using a lot of today, and that is Manus. If you're not familiar with Manus, I want to be totally candid. It is a Chinese-based AI, and that makes some people uncomfortable, and I certainly can appreciate that. I'm moving forward in hopefully a wise decision, but I want to show you some of the things that it does that absolutely blows my mind away. So here's a good example. I have a presentation coming up in next week. I'm going to be up in Michigan speaking. And one of my mastermind members said, "Hey, Jonathan, have you ever thought about giving your presentation slides to the people you're presenting to up front and then setting up a system where they can literally ask questions online for you?" And I'm like, "No, I never thought of that. That's pretty cool." So I went into Manus last night and I uploaded my presentation. By the way, I had created my presentation over here in Gamma. I'll talk to you about that in a minute. If you need to create presentations, Gamma is an amazing tool. And I said, let's go ahead and take a look at this. So let's open the viewer. This, by the way, is an app that I created with Manus, an interactive web app that took me about 10 minutes to do, literally, maybe 12. So we'll open the viewer and I'll show you. So this is what happens on the mobile phone. The slide that I uploaded comes up. This is exactly what I'm talking about next week, Thursday. And notice that they can navigate through, see the slides. But let's say they get here into this slide, whatever one it is, and they've got a question about it. If they click this button, request more information, it pops up a form. They can fill in their information and they can submit that request. Super easy. I'll even show you how it works. So Jonathan Mast, put in my email here, test, and we'll submit the request. Now, what's cool is imagine you're watching a presentation, you have a question about something. Obviously, I can't necessarily take questions during a presentation. Now you can literally ask that and then go right back to the presentation. What's really cool about this is, by the way, this is all an interactive website. I'll show you exactly how I did this and why I love Manus to do this. But even better is now I have an admin interface here a minute. I put the wrong thing in probably. Let's go back to, here we go. And let's see if I can put my admin in here. Of course, it's a live demo, so it probably is not going to work. Yep. I'll have to come back to that and figure that out. But I had put an admin in and it lets me know what's going on. I can then literally take a look at it. We've got another example that I will show you here in just a moment to show you how that works. But what I want to really show you is that I created this literally in, like I said, about 12 minutes. So here's what I went through. We'll get rid of this preview for a moment. I literally started off and I said, I want to create an interactive web app that's optimized for a mobile phone that would allow people to scan a QR code at the beginning and then show each slide as I go through the presentation on their phone. I want to give them the ability to do that on any given slide, and I want them to request additional information, and then I want it to be able to do all of that for me. We went through some things. It wasn't able to access my slides, so I uploaded the images. It then thought it did a bunch of information here. I won't bore you with all of this. This, by the way, it all did in the background. I wasn't doing any of this. It was figuring out task lists and what was needed in order to accomplish this. And it even brought up and designed all of this. And I said, hey, I don't need the admin panel thing here, so we don't need to go ahead and do that. Um, so it rolled that back. We made changes. It made more changes. And hang on, I'll show you when we got to the point where it finally removed that. There we go. And we got to this part 18 hours ago and gave me an updated interface. This is the interface I just showed you. Now we've got that interesting part that I lost my admin. I'm just going to tell it. In the process, I lost my ability to access the admin dashboard, and I need this in order to see the queries that were put in or the questions that people had. I don't need the admin dashboard visible up front, but I need to be able to type in a URL to get to that. Can you add the dashboard back in to the currently published perspective? So I'm literally just going to tell it what I want done and watch here for just a moment. Manus is literally going to reprogram this for me and make changes for it. You can see it's going to go ahead and add in the ability to type in /admin, which is what I tried to do when it didn't work. And it's going ahead and going through the interface and making those changes. Assuming everything goes well with this live demo, you'll see how it literally will pull everything in, and I'll have created this web app. By the way, I'm not a developer. I don't know how to program, but I'll have created this web app right here live and on screen, just literally from an idea that I got. And I love the ability to do that. We did something similar the other day. While this is thinking, I'll go and open up another tab. Remember, my mastermind reached out and said, hey, I want to figure out how to do an interactive form, and I need some help with that. And let's see here if I can find it. I use Manus a lot, so I've got to scroll back through here to find what I'm looking for. Plot points, book review, nonfiction. I've been writing a book, so there's been a lot for that. Planning a web app for AI usage. This might be it. Let's take a quick look. See if this is what I want. Yes, this is it. So let's go ahead and take a look at this one. So I went in and I uploaded a form that we had, questions basically, it wasn't a form, that we wanted to ask. And I asked Manus to go ahead and create an interactive web app that would allow people to take the form and fill out the form. And then if they were interested, to go ahead and then take a secondary interview based on that. And all I did was gave it the questions. We'll go ahead and take a look here. You can see it created a really nice, easy to lay out section. What content takes up most of my time? We'll just fill this in real quick so that we can show you how it works. I can go to the next section and we'll just pick some check marks. Notice, oh, you probably don't, but this is a nice looking layout, very professional. I didn't have to do any of this. All of this was done by Manus in and of itself. And I will not put my information in, but I'm going to submit the survey. And notice now when I get here, it says, yes, I want to continue on to the interview. I won't do that for you guys here because of the time it'll take. But notice what happens. I can actually come up in here and now I can go ahead and I can go to the admin side. This one, it works. And you can see right here, we've put this out, by the way, we published this out on the web, and we've had 20 people respond. 3 people have completed interviews, and 17 have done the form. What's neat though is now this is, and by the way, Manus created this entire interface, and there are other tools you can use to do this. I'm not saying you have to use Manus. I just like Manus. But here are all of the things that have happened. I can go back and look at any one of these. I can then see the details. Let's find, so this one filled out the survey as well. And when I click on the details here, live demo, it's not working. Love it when that happens. Let's try this one. Maybe it's thinking, let's try that one more time. All responses and view details. You have to trust me when I say this worked great. I can still export it to a CSV. I don't know what's going on. We'll have Manus figure that out. Oh, there it is. The response is down below. I'm sorry. So there we go. Contact information not provided. Here's all the form responses that were given. So I'll go back to one of these and I just need to scan down. There we go. I just didn't see that. We've got to scan all the way to the bottom. And here's all of that data that's readily available. And then again, I gave it the ability to export to a CSV. Super easy, super simple. Now, again, there are other tools. I know others have mentioned other tools. There are absolutely other tools that you can use to do this. But these are some things that just were easy business things that I wanted to do. I wanted to be able to have a nice looking survey that we could get some market research done. Normally, I used to run a web design company. Had I given this to the web design team to do, would have taken a day or two to have gotten done. I would have had a little bit of back and forth. They would have been able to do all of this, but it would have taken some time. This case, literally, I did this from my phone in about 10 minutes, much like the other one. It didn't take me much longer. Let's go back and see if we're getting any further with the other one. There we go. It supposedly got everything added. So let's go ahead and republish this, publish that latest version. We'll take a look at it, visit. I will share this, by the way, in the chat. If anybody wants to see how this works, even though I'm presenting it next week, you can see a sample of the presentation. By the way, I see Eric's on here. Eric, you're the one that gets all the credit for this. You're the one that mentioned this in the mastermind yesterday, and I literally went through and did it. So thank you, Eric, for that. And let's open the admin now and see. We may not have anything in there, but let's go ahead and check admin. And there we go. Now my admin dashboard is there. It hasn't recorded anything yet because I haven't put anything in, but you can see I've got a full admin dashboard that's available there. That simple. So super easy. Wants to just make sure I'm logged in. That way it is secure. Really, really effective. And what a great way. And again, thanks to Eric, who's on the call today. Eric had shared yesterday, what a great way to give a presentation. Everybody always wants your slides, but now give them the ability to literally answer or ask questions of you during that presentation. Even if you don't get to them, they're now recorded so you can go log in and get it later. I think that's just absolutely fantastic. So the other one I told you I was using right now is Gamma. Again, I've been creating a lot of presentations. I've been doing a lot of speaking lately. So I've been using Gamma a lot. If you've never used Gamma, it's a fantastic presentation creator. I can literally go in and give it my content that I want, and it will go ahead and create slides for me. Here's the next meeting we've got coming up. I've got a training coming up, and I did one for this last night. I literally, dead serious, I gave it the entire outline of my course, a 3-day course. I then gave it the full transcript last night from day one and said, here's what we covered on day one. Here's what you said we should do for day two, or what my plan was. But based on what I covered in day one, will you update day two accordingly? It did. It gave me an updated outline. I fed that into Gamma, and I got this beautiful slide presentation literally by giving an outline that I'd used in Manus, analyzing my transcript from day one to create day two. Even brought in day one achievements. And then you can see this is a super nice presentation. Again, I was able to create this in minutes. Now, I did go through and add some imagery in because I wanted to use my images instead. I literally spent more time on the images than I did on the rest of the presentation. I spent about 15 minutes reviewing this, but this entire presentation got done. Let's see, how many slides do we have? It looks like 18 slides. I did the whole thing in counting images and prep under 45 minutes. And that is just super helpful from my perspective. And again, if you need presentations, it's a great, great tool to use. The last one I want to show you that I use a lot, and then we'll open it up for Q&A, and there are other tools I use we can talk about, but these are the main ones. That's what I try to go over. The other tool that I use a lot is called Napkin.ai, or at least that I've been using a lot this month. Napkin just moved from free usage into paid usage. It's not very expensive, though. Runs about $90 a year, I think it was. But here's what's so cool. Yesterday, I wanted a graphic for my day one of the presentation that I was doing. And I'll zoom in here just a little bit so you guys can see. With Napkin, I literally came in and I gave it this text. That's it. A proven framework that combines timeless positioning strategy with cutting edge tools. And I wanted this. I wanted a diagram. And it took that and created for me this graphic, custom to me, something that nobody else is going to have because it was my data feeding this in, but created this beautiful infographic that I was able to use, and it did it in seconds. Let me give you another example of how that works. I'm going to go grab from my Gamma today. Let's see if we can find towards the end. I think I had a action items. So let's actually just try this part here. We'll go to the validation part. Sorry, folks, I should have had this ready. We'll find the validation. Here we go. Let's see here guess that was it. So I'm literally going to take this text. We're going to go over into Napkin. I'm going to go down here below and I'm going to paste that text in. That's it. You saw I'm literally pasting that in. Then we're going to go over here. We're going to highlight the text. And notice I get this little thunderbolt. That's telling Napkin to go ahead and create this custom graphic. Um, I didn't know that Canva could do that. I see that in the chat. Canva should. I'd love to know how to do that in Canva. But you can see here, I've got lots of different graphics. Let me scroll up so you can see them. So as I go through different styles, I can pick out what I want, whatever I think is appropriate. So in this case, I kind of like this one. And then I get styles that I can choose. You can see it's changing the fonts and everything else a little bit. I kind of like this style here. And just like that, I can create a custom graphic that I can use. And then I can just download this. I can put this into a social media post. I can put this into my presentation. Whatever it is that I want, I can put it in there, and it makes it super easy. And if you see here, if I go back to Gemini and I go to yesterday's presentation, here we go, day one, you'll see that I actually put that graphic in right there. So I actually created the graphic and put it right in the presentation. And these are just simple ways that I'm leveraging AI. Hopefully, some of these will give you some ideas of ways that you could do it. But the big change I want to remind everybody of this month is ChatGPT isn't on the list this month. Not saying it's terrible, but I like Google's Gemini better, and I love Manus. And between those two, they've been spending pretty much all my time. The other one I mentioned, images, real quick. I use Midjourney for my images. I'll just pull it up here. I like cartoon style images. You can see I create lots and lots of them, and I use Midjourney to do that. Those are the majority of my tools. We're going to open it up for Q&A and see if anybody else has got any questions. Let me stop my share, and I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you guys have. If you have a question, just raise your hand. I'll be able to see that, and then I'll call you. And while I'm waiting, I'll go ahead and take a look at the chat. Never mind, I don't have to wait. We're right there. So Sheila, you're up first. What's on your mind?
So, quick question going back to that presentation that you had with the QR code. So,
Yes.
users can go through, and I went through and I saw the examples of you actually being able to ask the questions. But are you going to give them the option to download the presentation also?
That would be, see, that's a great idea. I hadn't thought of that. Here's the beauty of it. So let's go back and let's do that.
Okay.
This is where I love Manus. So let's go back into that. We've got it updated. And at the end of the presentation, I'd also like to give the user the ability to download the presentation slides to their phone or their computer. Can you add that functionality in to show up at the end of the presentation? So I have no idea, by the way, how to do this, Sheila, because I can't program. But this is where this vibe coding is so much fun. By the way, it is addictive to get into this and do this. Notice we'll just watch it here for a minute. I have no idea what it's doing, but it's going through here and figuring out what to do, and it's going to then add that functionality, likely in a format that'll work. If not, I'll have it fix it. And while this might not make sense to use for like a production application that I was going to run my business on, for things like this, when I want to do a one-off just for a presentation, it's so easy and so simple to do. And I love the ideas like that. It's so fast. I'm never going to have to come back and worry about debugging this, if that makes sense, because we're literally going to use it next week, Friday, and we'll be done. But now I've fixed a problem that I always have, which is everybody wanting access to my slides, which I have no problem. And now I've improved it because of Eric's suggestion, having that ability to go ahead and let people ask questions. Now I'll be able to get those questions. They'll be able to ask them in the moment. And I love your idea. So again, we're adding your idea in here. We'll let it finish up. And just that easily, we'll hopefully be able to see here in a couple minutes, if not less, that it's now added that functionality to the end of the presentation to allow us to download that to our computer or phone. Looks like it says it's already been added. It's now testing it. And once it's tested, it'll give it to me and we'll be able to take a look and we'll have to republish it. So one thing, and this is not supposed to be a lesson on Manus, but I'm just using a temporary domain that they give me. It works as far as I know forever. Certainly I have some that I did months ago that are still working. I can also assign my own domain to it. So if I wanted to do that, I could. But again, a really simple way to do that. Great idea. And as you can see, no hands, Mom. I'm literally letting Manus do all the work here for me. And yeah, should work great. That was a great idea. What a great addition. Thank you for that, Sheila. We'll come back and see how it looks. It looks like it's just testing it right now. So, and it says it was able to get to slide 31, and then it's going to test the download. There we go. You can see over on the left, it's telling us what it's doing. It's viewing the page. I can even view the computer here. This is what it's doing. You can literally watch it along the way. So that was my last page, and notice it added that slide right at or that button, Sheila. I don't know if you can see that, but download all slides. So it's now added that there to that last slide to show up automatically, just like that. Great idea. Thank you for sharing that, Sheila. That
Great.
will definitely improve that. So you and Eric get credit for a great idea that we were able to implement. Mark, you're up next. What's on your mind?
You kind of answered my question in your last dialogue about you can put it on a domain name that you provide, but can you take the whole code and put it on yours? Because then
Sure.
you're sort of in control of it. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, you can absolutely. I don't remember. I think it's using Python. Let me just read. It looks like it's running Python and JavaScript. I'm not a programmer, so I don't know if that's right, but that's what it looks like. And yeah, you can absolutely download all the code and host it anywhere you want.
And Manus is a paid program, right?
Yeah, so a good question. Manus is it has free unlimited chat. It's one of the reasons that I love Manus. I can use chat on it as much as I want. Let me go back to my screen here and I'll share my other Manus one that we had over here. So I'll go back to a new chat. If I come in here, I have three options in Manus. I have what's called adaptive, agent, and chat. If I click on chat here, I can talk to it all day long and it doesn't cost a thing. It's totally free. But you will see up in the corner here, I have a bunch of credits and I am on their free basic plan. And I get this, by the way, just to give you perspective, I'll show you how I do this, but that's equal to about close to $4,000 worth of credits. Um, all the stuff that I just did, let's take a quick look here a minute. Just in case you guys are interested, by the way, this is how I get my credits. You can invite friends and you get 500 credits every time they join. They get 500 credits every time you join. I'll put that link here in the chat. If you guys need Manus, you get it for free. What I often do is I go out to social media and I just say, do you want free unlimited chat plus agentic capabilities? If so, download Manus. It's totally free. And I give my link. That link has created for me 400,000 plus credits that I can use for that. So that's 800 some people that have done that. What's neat though is if I want to take a look at my usage, because it does have costs. So that referral, nope, that's a referral bonus. So interactive web app presentation with QR code. So the changes that we made to it, were that today? No, uh, yep, that's it right there. So that cost me to create that app that we created and to add in the functionality that we just did. So all in is about $12. So that I did have to pay for that. It came out of my credits. And you may go, well, Jonathan, that stinks. You had to pay 12 bucks. I couldn't have anybody on my team create something like that for less than $12. I can't create that at all, so I can't create it. So in my mind, the ability to have an idea that literally Eric gave me last night at 5 o'clock on a call that we were on, to be able to do that and then to be able to optimize it and to be able to update it and add functionality for what is equivalent to $11.90. Man, I'm all in on that. That to me is a great deal and will add a lot of value to my audience. So, super, super cool way to do that. But again, if you click on the chat here, if you know anybody, you've got a student, a parent, just a coworker that's looking for free chat, this is equivalent to ChatGPT or basic Gemini. You can go over here and chat and you can use it all day long for free. I generally run on adaptive, and adaptive then it chooses which model to use, whether to use the agent model, which does cost you money, or this. Super simple. So I don't, did I answer your question for you?
Yeah, you did. So why would you use Manus versus Gemini to chat?
Um,
Or you're using it in specialized use cases like creating little apps?
Yeah, I'm using it mainly for apps and for research. Another thing I did earlier today is I had gotten a message yesterday from another speaker that I know, and she'd said, "Hey, I don't know if you have it in here, but you may want to add into your speaker agreement that you've got a no AI manipulation clause, basically meaning when I speak and they do video, they can't make me say something else than what I said in reality." Makes sense. I have no problem with that. I went to Manus to have it analyze the contract to have it give me recommendations on what I should do. I could have used Gemini to do that as well. Either one would have worked. Mainly when I'm using Manus, it's for heavy tasks because or Gemini doesn't have an agentic feature to it, so it doesn't do as many tasks at once. And if I'm doing like custom apps. So another thing I did with it this week, I'll share my screen here and just show you what I did is I wrote a book. So, and yes, I literally wrote an entire book. I'll go to the top here. This book, by the way, did cost me about $40 so far. I'll probably spend a little bit more. And I know some of you, again, it's like 40 bucks. Yeah, but I can't write a book for 40 bucks. By the way, my time investment has been under 2 hours to write this book so far. It's been my idea. I laid it out. I worked with it, went through the whole process. It did it. Here's why I love Manus and what really sets it apart. I could use Gemini to do this exact same thing. We basically created an outline, then we created chapter summaries, then I gave it a style that I wanted to follow, and then I had it write the chapters easy peasy. Again, I can do all that with Gemini. But when I do that with Gemini, in order to have the link that I wanted a book of about 25,000 words. If any of you guys have ever read Who Moved My Cheese or Raving Fans or 1 Minute Manager, those are about 15,000 words, and I did that same kind of style. So I wanted 25,000 words. To do that in ChatGPT or Gemini, I would have had to write every chapter probably multiple times and even sections to get that done. In Manus, once I had the outline, I told it to go ahead and write one chapter at a time and complete the book. And it literally went in. We'll scroll down here a minute to the bottom. As you can see, where there's some back and forth as we went through. And let's see if I get to the bottom here. I should have my last version. Those are titles. Let's go back up a little bit. Here's So this was 24,000 words, not quite the 25,000 words. And it wrote, I'll scroll through this. It wrote all of this. Now, it took it about an hour, but I was able to leave and go do other things. And it wrote 24,000 words of content. By the way, really good content after it was trained and everything else. My wife is a managing editor or was a managing editor at a publisher in a past life. She's gone through it and made minimal changes to it. So really pleased with that. So that's an example of where I might use Manus as opposed to Gemini, because once I got it going, I was able to basically say, go do this, and it just kept repeating the process until it was done. I couldn't do that with Gemini at this point. I could do that, by the way, with ChatGPT's agent. I don't. I've had so many issues with ChatGPT's performance as far as how slow it is right now. Not saying it's a bad product, it's not, but it's been really, really slow for me. My guess is just based on too many people using it. So I have rarely used ChatGPT in the last month for anything. All right. Next up is
Super
Jen.
helpful.
What's on
Thank
your
you.
mind, Jen?
Hey again. So I've asked this question in the past, but now with all these changes, I'm thinking this might be a great use. So I have a fillable PDF workbook, basically, that I would love to see if Manus could create an app that would uh, maybe create the form with all these questions. They could, you know, plug in their answers, and then would this Manus be able to transfer those answers onto this actual PDF or this paper, or not paper, but digital paper that I have
Right.
created?
Maybe. I don't know. All of the AI models have difficulty actually interacting directly with documents. What I would probably do there instead, Jen, is I would probably use the assistant inside the comment browser or use ChatGPT's agent inside of their new Apollo browser
Okay.
to do that instead. And the reason is they can actually take over your screen and do things. So, for example, yesterday I had I think it was a long post that I'd written that when Gemini wrote it, it put a lot of citations in. When I copy and pasted that over, it had all these site links, and I didn't want those. It just wasn't needed for the social media post. I could have went through in probably 10 minutes, removed them all, but instead I put it in a Google Doc and I told Perplexity through Comet, you go in and remove them all. And it did that. Now, it admittedly took about 20 minutes to do that versus the 10 I could have done it. The difference is while it was doing it, I got to go do something else.
Right.
So it was the way I think of it in that case, Jen, it's like handing it off to an assistant who's a little slower than I am, but still does the work so I don't have to. I was able to let AI do all that work for me while I went ahead and did something else that was more enjoyable, more productive, whatever, maybe both. And while it went through and edited that document for me. So for that, I would really look at either Comet and use the assistant or look at Apollo, the new ChatGPT browser, and see that. I would do one of those two.
Okay.
So hopefully that makes sense. All right, good question. Thank you very much for that. Let's see. Next, we've got Amber. Thanks for joining us, Amber. What's on your mind today?
Hi, sorry, my video is blurred. My
That's
little girl.
okay.
So, but I'm just wondering. I'm creating a Security Plus study guide for just to sell online as a course for the government,
Yeah.
and it's over 62 pages. I wanted to create a presentation for it, so I put it in Manus yesterday, and Manus limited me. They said they can only create up to 8 slides at a time. Is there a
Are
way
you
that
on
you
a
can bypass that so you can do, like, if I upload the study guide, it will upload? I want to have all the definitions in one PowerPoint presentation, and I don't want to do it one by one by one by one. I want it to do
sure?
the whole study guide at
And
once to create a presentation.
are you on the free plan by any chance?
I'm on the paid plan. I'm paying
And
$39.99 a month.
it still only did wow, because
Yeah,
I've had it create like 50 slide presentations for me before. That's
yeah.
interesting.
And I don't know my prompt. I just said, here's my study guide. I want to include all the definitions on the study guide. And every time it came out, we're only limited to 8 to 10 pages presentation slides. And so I thought, well, I can piecemeal it, because then when I would do it, it would just summarize my study guide.
Yeah,
And then
which
it would
yeah,
just
no,
only
you
give
don't
me
want that.
And I don't want that. I want my lesson by lesson by lesson by lesson. So I'm just wondering if there was a workaround.
Boy, I
Other than
wish I could tell you.
manually doing it.
Unfortunately, I've never ran into that. I do use Gamma more than I do Manus for slides, but I've
Yeah.
had Manus create many slide presentations for me, and I know some of them have been over 50 pages and have never had a problem. Is there any chance you didn't have enough credits? Is that where it maybe said you needed more credits to
I
do
don't
that?
know. I started out brand new last night, and so I had a full bank of credits. I don't know
Hmm.
if there's a way like your book as an example, if you could do it right now and you could show like maybe 20 pages of your book and upload it to see if it would create more than 10 to 12 slides.
Sure, let's try it. Let's go ahead and do
Okay.
that. I love trying stuff live.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead
Let's
and let's go
let's
into the
work it
book. So
out.
here's my prompt. I'm going to go ahead and just download this in Markdown format. So this is my entire book.
Yeah.
That's like I said, the 24,000. And let's now go back into Manus. Let's go create a new version over here, just so I get too many tabs open. There we go. We're going to create a new task and let's upload my Markdown file.
Mm.
There we go. And I'll say, let's say, please create a interactive
Entire.
presentation for this and do 5 slides per chapter. So I've got like 9 chapters or whatever. So this will be like 50 slides if it does it. Let's see what
Maybe that's
happens.
what it
Well,
is. Instead of saying to create an entire presentation, I just need to give it how many slides per chapter.
that might work. Again,
That's
I've
the prompting.
definitely some of this is, as you know, it's just kind of like, let's try this out and see what works.
Yeah.
But let's see what happens as it analyzes the document. And then thinks it'll take probably a minute or two here. Tell you what, while we're doing, I'm going to let this run while we watch it, if you don't mind. I'm going to leave you up on the screen, but
Yeah.
I'm going to talk to Margie as well, and then we'll see if we can answer her question while we watch this. Hopefully, it's a
Okay.
little better than watching paint dry. But Margie, while we're waiting on this, and we'll come back to Amber, what's on your mind, Margie?
Hello. Me and my 30 questions.
I love it.
My
That's a great. That's why we
yes.
do this.
So it was the good news because I was and talking to a friend, I gained a really cool high ticket client yesterday, which was cool.
Congratulations.
Yes. And so with that, one of the challenges that she brought up, so I'm going to be building her a custom set of like a organizational GPTs, like what we did in the AI Command Center.
Hmm.
Which I know how to do now in my sleep because of you. And so
Awesome.
she did say for her, though, that her company does not want to use Google Workspace at all because they don't like any of their uh, security features. So
Yep.
I just wanted to know, one, what is your thought around that? Is it one of those conversations where, because she's really old school, so she's like super behind just website wise and all that. So my first question is it worth a conversation to say Google's a good option, and or should I just go ahead and stick to Outlook and Word?
Well, I'm curious. What do you need to do in Outlook and Word? Where is that? I mean, you're going to build it in ChatGPT, I'm assuming, correct?
Yes.
So where do Outlook and Word fit into it, just so I understand better?
Yeah. So remember this morning when I think her name was Tanya, she was talking about the delivery
Yes.
and whether or not would
Oh, how
by
you're going to
building.
deliver stuff over to
Yeah, so
them.
how is it going to
Gotcha.
deliver? And then, the huge plus of Google Workspace is that those updates that happen live, right? So
Yeah,
now I'm thinking I might have to package that a little different if it's not in Google Workspace because that now takes,
yeah, I
I
was gonna
have
say
to.
I would just let her know if I can't use Google Workspace that maintenance would cost just a bit more because of that, because of the extra work involved. But I'd see it as an upsell on the maintenance. And yeah, I would still put everything in Docs on your side, use Google Docs on your side, but just export it to a PDF and send it to them via their mail. So
Okay.
you shouldn't have to do much different. The only thing you'll lose is that ability to auto sync, but you can only auto sync in gems anyway,
Yeah.
and they're not going to go that way if they're not a Google house. So I would still do your normal process the way you do it, Margie, but just deliver everything to them as a PDF, and that'll be fine on their end, and everything will work just kosher.
Okay. And then my question is, when since we're talking about tools, and we've had the security thing with gyms, is it safe to say that yes, Google is less secure, or is it worth an argument?
No, they're different.
They're
I'm not
different.
a
Okay.
security expert, but if what I've learned in the past is if an IT department is determined they're not going to use something, it's like heaven and earth to get them to change their mind because even if they're wrong, not saying they are, but even if they are, they're never going to admit it. So it's and since I'm not an IT professional, it's just that I'm going to try to figure out to work within their system. So yeah, I think they're just different. Microsoft definitely goes at the enterprise level more than Google does. They sell in that area and they
Okay.
have most IT people convinced, right or
Yeah.
wrong, I don't know,
Yeah.
that it is more secure. So
Okay. No, that's fair. All right.
awesome.
I'm going to
Thank
get
you.
back in line. Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem. I appreciate that. Just, Amber, we're still creating slides right now, but it does look like it's creating a total of, let's see, 9 times 5 by 45 plus 8, so 53 slides, it looks like. We'll see here in a moment. It's going through and doing that. While we're doing that, Eric, I'll bring you up. Eric, what's on your mind, sir? By the way, thank you for that idea on the presentation thing last night. Hope you don't mind that I just ran with that. I'm like, man, that'll be so cool. I love that.
No, I love how your brain works, so I'm more than happy you ran with it. That looks great. In fact, your gut instinct improved a couple things on it that I hadn't thought about doing. So
Well, there
that's
you go.
great.
Now, you need any of what I did, just let me know. I'll send it over to you.
Awesome. I appreciate it. So this is the first time I've heard you mention napkin. So that's one of your newer tools, I think, that you're using. And
I've
so
been
I'm
using
clicking
it
on it.
for a while, but I used it more recently, probably because the last month I've done so fall's kind of speaking season, and so as you know, we met in Dallas and everything else. I've been doing a ton of
Yeah.
travel, a ton of speaking. As a result, I've had the need to create more infographics than I normally do, and Napkin's just a great way to do it.
Well, I'm while you've been talking, I've been playing with it, and something that I noticed that it's helpful is if I'm using the AI side, the AI tool to develop, not just cutting and pasting an image, but actually I went to Gemini and created a construction flowchart prompt, had it build it for me for construction delivery of a hospital. And then I've gone back to Napkin and I'm playing with it to get some of the ideas, to some graphics. What I've noticed is that as I create these graphics from the text, it's almost like I'm able to create my slide and have my speaking notes because it leaves the notes on the page. Do you know
Oh,
if
that's a good
Gamma
thought.
yeah, do you know if Gamma does speaking notes along with its creation of the slides?
They can. That is an option in Gamma. I don't normally do that, but it is absolutely an option. Yes.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that was my question because I've used Gamma to make slides, but I've never put the speaking notes in that way. And this just I could literally go and take this and cut and paste
Yeah.
the text I built the visual from for my speaking notes. I see
Makes
somebody
sense.
Mike saying that
Yeah, I know that it
present.
does have that because it gives you both a presenter and a presenter with speaker's notes view. Um, Most of the conferences I speak at, I see the slides in front of me, not the speaker's notes. So if you've ever been at where, they've got you're up on stage and they've got the TV down on the floor that you're looking at, they're
Yeah.
typically showing me whatever's on the back screen. So I have never really developed that habit, but I do know it is supported.
Okay. No, that's what I needed. I use speaking notes, so that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And you're right though with Napkin, that makes perfect sense that it should work that way. The thing I like about it, even though Napkin, as you use it more and more, you'll see that a lot of the graphics are quite similar. In
Yeah.
other words, it's still always unique to your thing and it will adjust. Everything's dynamic. So if you're doing charts and all that, everything will adjust accordingly. I think it's great. I was actually happy to hear they came out of beta because I was always worried it might go away when it was free and in beta.
Mhm.
I'm one of those weird guys. I'm like, if it's free, you can't provide this to me forever. Can we please find a way that we can pay so you can stick around? So
Can you take these graphics? Is there an easy way built in or something you've tried where you've taken the graphic off napkin and then dumped it to Canva to enhance it further to make it something a little more eye-catching or
what I will generally do is I'll take it and I'll just save. You can save a PNG directly from Napkin, and then I'll just use that image inside of Canva or whatever I'm doing to if I need to make any adjustments to it.
okay,
Yeah.
cool. Thank
Cool.
you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thanks again for that idea last night. That was fantastic. I'm so looking forward to that. All right, Amanda, we're just going to keep giving you updates. It is creating slides. It's only created 3 thus far, but it says it's creating a total of 48, not the 53 that I thought. But we'll see here, and I'll come back to that in just a moment.
You know what?
Well,
I think that the prompt is that you have to create it 5 to 6 per chapter, because when you say the entire, I've tried it both ways just now. It doesn't let you do it when you say summarize the whole thing. I'm not summarize,
gotcha.
create the whole thing. Your prompt of per slide, and then the most it creates is 15. It won't go beyond
Okay,
that per chapter. So I don't know if
interesting.
maybe that's something you can play around with in the future to kind of see if there's a prompt that, because what if one chapter had more than 15 slides worth,
Absolutely.
it'd
No,
be interesting to see.
that makes
Yeah.
perfect sense. Yeah, like I
Yeah.
said, I've just not run into that, so I can't speak to it directly, but we're up to 8 so far, so it's definitely working its way through
Yeah.
and thinking of it. But yeah, that's a great example just to do some prompting to try to figure it
Mm,
out. The other thing, when I run into things like that, Amber, one of the things I will often do is I'll go over to Perplexity and I'll
okay.
ask Perplexity and say, here's the problem I'm running into.
Mm,
Perplexity seems to know really well how all these applications work.
okay.
So
Okay. How to
yeah,
prompt it.
exactly.
I'm sorry, my little girl here. I just had one more question as a follow up. I know
Yeah,
you
go
got
ahead.
other people, but when you're writing your book and you want to create it in your I'm gonna feed her a cookie. When you're writing your book and you want to talk in your style, like with ChatGPT, you can train a bot to speak in your voice. How do you do that with Venus?
Oh, absolutely. So I use what's called a just well, not called anything. I just upload that directly in. So I have a file. Let me
Okay.
go over to it real quick. Go to my drive that I call Self-Scribe, which is one of the trainings that I do, and it just basically walks me through and creates a document. So let's go here. Where is JMast Self-Scribe? There we go. So I have this file. I just leave it in Google, and here is what it has for me. So this is about a page and a half explaining who I am and how to write. And I literally just upload this document then, Amber, and say, please write in my tone and style using this file. And I did that
Excellent.
for the book. And oh my goodness, I mean, I was
Yeah.
blown away with, I've tried this so many times and it never ever works
Yeah.
good. And
Awesome.
I was blown away. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's
Yeah.
like having a great ghostwriter in your pocket, in this case, for under $50. So
Nice.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
great. Thank you. Thanks so
Thank
much.
you, Amber. Appreciate that.
Thank-
We'll go back here
Mm.
and let's see. Next, we've got Mark. You're up. What's on your mind?
Hey, Jonathan. So I took the GEMS training and I either missed or haven't seen the update in regards to the securing it. Is that still the same as when the training went?
It has not changed yet. We've got an update, a follow-up session Friday that we're going to be doing on that in the afternoon. Let me just take a quick look here at my calendar so I can remember the time. But at the moment, they have not made any changes. Yeah, we have an update at 3 o'clock. So we're doing a session at 3 o'clock on Friday Eastern. That's 3 o'clock Eastern. If you want to catch up, but I will tell you right now, there are no changes. So we're going to talk about some additional research that we've done to determine the likelihood that people may be doing and cloning those, but they have not changed it yet. It's still that functionality.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Margie, you're back up. What's on your mind?
Yes, hello. So I had a
Hello.
question. Do you have any familiarity with Monday.com?
I do. Not a lot because I find it incredibly overwhelming as a
Me too.
ADHD entrepreneur. So, my best advice on Monday is it is incredibly powerful. It is incredibly useful if you're an operations person or a project manager. If you're a ADHD entrepreneur, it will likely drive you crazy. And I say that based upon just the people that I know. As you know, I used to have a digital agency, and
Yeah.
a lot of the companies that we worked with and that were peers of ours that were in the same coaching groups used Monday.com. We used Monday.com. Jonathan never logged into Monday.com. I didn't even have a login for it
Yeah.
because I looked at it and my brain started to melt down like on the first screen.
Yeah.
My project manager and my ops people, they loved it. It was I mean, they absolutely adored it, and we paid for it for years and years and years because they used it for that, and it worked really well. I just found it as who I am based on the way God made my
Yeah, me
brain.
too.
It was like total overwhelm when I opened it. It was too much detail.
I agree. So when the one of the client who I'm actually talking about with this scenario, uh, where she wants to switch over to high level. She's giving me like creative freedom to kind of put the same tools that I've been learning from you that have been wonderful for me. And so I just wanted to know if anybody on there had any experience with keeping high level and like Monday, and then kind of what those processes
So
are. So
the task and project management tool that we use now is called Trello. And
okay, yeah,
Trello makes a lot more sense to me. I still admit I rarely log into it.
I
My
do.
team
Yeah.
does. But for ease of follow, when they go into Trello, I don't feel like I'm going to get sick. When we used to go into Monday.com, I literally would feel like I was going to be ill because it was just
Yeah.
too much.
We're
So
wired the same, Jonathan. Okay. Yeah, and that's what I was a little bit concerned, but I might talk to Sherry if she's on here, but I'll see if
yeah,
there's a way
take
to
a
put
look
the
at Trello if
API.
you're looking, as you're building your business out and you're looking at a way to manage tasks and keep things organized. Trello, as an ADHD entrepreneur, is probably, in my mind, one of the better
Yeah,
options.
I use Asana. That was easier
That's
than
very good too.
Trello to
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
Trello was a little bit overwhelming too, but yeah, she is like, again, she stuck to her tools. So she's like, I can't, not use
yeah, yeah,
Monday, but I want go high level. And
yeah.
then, so I
Well,
wanted to know, are
and
they
two
different
totally
tools?
separate. Oh yeah,
Okay.
two
Okay,
totally
that's
different
good
tools.
thing. Then
Yeah.
we can probably integrate that somehow into her workflow.
Yeah, because Monday.com is really a project management tool
Project, okay, then easy.
and GHL is a marketing automation. So
Okay. So
yeah, totally different. Yep,
apples and
absolutely.
oranges.
Yeah, there
Okay.
you go. Thank you. All right. Thanks, Margie. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Mark, you're back. You're back up. Mark, what's on your mind?
Could you, excuse me, could you please speak to the browsers that can take over your computer? So I believe
Yeah,
Comet's one. Is there others, and kind of what your use cases and best practices are for that?
sure. I'd be happy to. So Comet is one of them, and I'll pop over to Facebook to show you. Let me first go over before. So ChatGPT has their new Atlas, which also does, and I'll start that up here in just a moment. So I'm in Comet right now. Let's go over to Facebook here, and just because Facebook's a good example that I can show you how to do this. And let's go, and I'm going to log into one of my business pages. So let's see, there we go, Whitebeard Strategies. Hang on a minute while we wait for it. There's a lot of use cases, Mark. I keep finding new stuff that I want to do all the time, but okay, I don't want people. I want pages. There we go. Sorry. That's what I want. So let's say I want to add something to this. I'm going to turn on the assistant here. It opens up a box, and I'm going to say, how can I add a new team member to my Whitebeard Strategies Facebook page? And I'll just add into the Facebook page part. And I'm here, so it's going to automatically, you'll watch in just a moment here, it'll likely take over the screen. It'll put a blue outline. There it goes. So my hands are in the air. I'm not doing this navigating. If you watch, it's literally going to take over my screen and start navigating for me. So I'm not doing this. This is the system doing this itself. I'm not doing any of this. And that blue line shows you that. And so it's basically switching profiles, and it's going to now navigate through. If you've ever tried to figure out stuff in Facebook, it can be frustrating to find things. It's, the menu can be difficult, and it's going to try to switch over there now. While it's thinking, we'll leave that going. I'm going to go ahead and load Atlas up because I have that here somewhere. There it is. So what we're going to see now is ChatGPT Atlas. This is very similar. It's designed to be really a direct competitor back against that. So let's go ahead and go into Facebook. I don't think I've ever logged into Facebook, so that's probably going to be a bad decision. Let's see here if I can log into my Drive, and I'll show you how we could use it to edit something.
And is it fair
So
to assume that those need to be paid versions of Atlas and
yes.
Comet?
Yeah, you do need paid versions of Perplexity and of ChatGPT in order to use these. But an example that I could come in here is, let's go ahead and take this training transcript from one of my. Oh, that's interesting. That's like today's training transcript, but that's not today. So I don't know where that's coming from. Oh, it's in my Read.AI notes. That's why. So it's Read.AI is creating a live transcript as we go. This is actually a live document that Read.AI is updating. You can see it's October 29, 2025. I can now open up, same thing, ask ChatGPT. It opens up on the side, and I could then see please go and find all of the comments from Mark Benda and highlight those so that I can see those easily. And it'll go ahead and it'll literally same thing. It'll take control of this document. I'll zoom in just a little bit here. There we go. It'll take control of this document and find that if everything goes as planned. And here we go. See, here are all of Mark's comments. In this case, it didn't highlight them like I asked, but you can see how in the side, if you can see here, it's actually bringing those up and has pulled them directly from the document. Gemini may not be able to do that within the document itself. I could try Gemini here. Doesn't always work the way you want. It also doesn't work if I want to make changes to it. So let's say I wanted to go in and please change the color of all bold text to red. It'll now go into the document for me. And again, this is the type of thing that we could do, but I can have it go into the document for me and do that. And assuming things work right, and they generally do with Atlas, I don't use it as much as Comet. It just came out last week and has been slower, but here we go. And so it asks, do I want to create a new Markdown file or do I want to do a PDF? I don't want to do either of those. Part of what I like about Comet is Comet would literally go in and make the changes on the document for me. So if we went over and did the same thing on Comet, it would actually make those changes, if that makes sense.
So Perplexity Comet, in your experience, is superior?
I prefer it, yes. So here we've got the Perplexity. So I went back to Comet, and we were on Facebook just as a reminder, and it brought me to that page. Who do you want to have access to the page? So it found all that, dug through all of Facebook's menus. We can do the same thing with that document. Let's go into Drive real quick. Oops.
And it looks like
Drive,
you
there we
can run
go.
multiple instances. So you just open a second window or a
Correct.
third or a fourth, and it can be grinding away on all of them. Wow.
That's correct. Yes. Which is super nice. So here's that document. Same thing. I can open up my assistant and let's try it. Let's hope it works the way it's supposed to. Please make all bold text red in this document. And again, hopefully it'll do what I want it to do, but it's going to notice it's got that blue outline. So it's literally taking control of my screen. Now I did have to give it the ability to do that, the rights to do that, Mark, but it should now literally go through. There we go. So edit, and it's going to, it's going to actually make the changes on the document instead of the way that it had happened with Atlas. Sorry, I was trying to remember
So
the name of it.
Comet seems to play nicely with Google Docs.
This plays really nicely. In fact, in email in particular, it does things even better. So we'll pause comment here just because I don't want to mess up all the notes that I just did. I see it's making some edits, so I'm going to stop that here for a minute. But I can go into like my email and it works better even in Drive to find different files. So let me close the assistant and do it. Oops, hang on. Too many buttons. I'm pressing them the wrong way. New thread. That's what I wanted. So let's go out of this document, go into Google Drive. We'll do the same thing. New thread. There we go. Find me the Google Doc that I created for the Perfect Prompt Framework Entrepreneur book. So here's an example. I've got lots of files in Google Drive. I'm trying to find a particular one. I have found that sometimes Gemini doesn't do a great job of finding what I want. It's going to again take over and it will actually find me the exact files that I was looking for and bring them up to me. So as an example, it can craft emails for you. It can go ahead and create calendar appointments. It can do all kinds of stuff like that. That can be really effective. So one of the examples I often use is I'll stop here a minute and I can say, please schedule a phone call with me with Sherry Stockton for tomorrow at 10 a.m. And notice, even though I'm not in my calendar, because it has access to my calendar, it's actually going to go look and it's going to schedule that. It'll actually add it to my calendar. It'll even then ask me if it wants me to email Sherry with an invitation and invite her to that call as well. So it's actually looking for Sherry's email right now since I didn't give it to her, setting up the scheduled call. And notice I'm not even in that document right now. I'm literally just in something else and it's going ahead and doing this. So again, almost like having an assistant instead of me having to have my assistant do this, I can do it. And the neat thing is I can go do something else while this is doing what we're doing right here. So here it is. It's brought it all up, schedule a phone call. I can schedule, if I click schedule, it'll literally put it in my calendar. I'm going to put skip because I'm going to have too much other stuff there. But it can do that. It can send emails. It can consolidate things.
Wow.
You
And does it
you
work
name
on
it.
mobile as well?
No, it's only desktop. And that's
Got
for
it.
both Atlas and the Atlas and Comet are only desktop. Atlas is only Mac right now. Comet works both, I believe, on PC and Mac. So, but
Super
some really
helpful.
cool
Thank you.
stuff. You're
Wow.
welcome. All right. We only got a couple more minutes, but Sheila, we'll try to get to you and Margie if we can. Sheila, what's on your mind?
I promise I'll be very quick. So this is my first time here. So if you've already
Well,
covered this, I
welcome.
apologize. Thank
Oh,
you.
no, it's all right.
So I'm trying to create Facebook posts where there's the comment and then there's the excuse me,
The
the post and then
threads.
right, the
Yeah.
threads. But what app or what is the best tool to do that? I have Go High Level already. I don't think that's the best way to do it, but what is the best way to do it?
There are none that I'm aware of that'll create more than one comment. So Go High Level will go ahead and create one comment for you, but not
Right.
multiple. If you want to
Okay.
create multiple, the only way to do it that I'm aware of is within the actual Facebook app itself. You've got to use the app or to do that, right? And you can schedule a post if you want to through the app, the mobile app. Then you can go look at your scheduled posts and you can add comments to them while they're still scheduled. But that's the only way I know how to do that.
Okay. All right. And then I know because I'm new here, you may already do this, but you have a plethora of different options that are out there. Is there any point in time that you ever just say, hey, this is what I offer and this is what could potentially help you? Or
We will be happy to do that on individuals because we don't have a normal, we're not like a college where I've got, here's your curriculum and you got to follow the curriculum. Ours are really designed for specific things. But if you've got questions, Sheila, reach out to support at whitebeardstrategies.com and just say, here's what I'm hoping to accomplish, or here's what my goals are. And they'll absolutely tell you, here are the classes that we recommend, the trainings, the memberships, anything that we've got. We'll absolutely do that for you to try to help do that. But it's different for each person. So if you could just email us, we'd be happy to do that.
perfect. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sheila. All right, Margie, we're going to wrap up with you, ma'am. What is on your mind?
Yes, I just want to tell Sheila, Jonathan has a really cool class called Engagement Engine. That's super helpful. So if
Thank you.
can put that in there, I would definitely recommend Engagement Engine to start for exactly what you're talking about. It's a very, very helpful tool. And the replays are available. So, and that's
Thank you for that.
on his website. My question really quickly, as you were doing the add Sherry to the calendar comment, I can't wait to show and share more tools. It's been amazing. But do you use Google Calendar or do you use your native Apple Calendar?
I use Google.
You do? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it's been a hard switch over. I love my Apple Calendar, but I wanted to know at this point, it's probably just native to all that you're doing.
Yeah, everything we do is in the cloud and with the sync and everything else. One of my things is it's got to work on my computer, my phone, and my tablet all like perfectly
Yeah.
synced.
And the
And
Apple doesn't do
Apple's
that,
not
right?
bad, but the Google just works so well. The other thing I love Google, if I'm ever stuck somewhere and I don't have a computing device, I can log in from any computer anywhere in the world and I can get all that information because it's all in Google. And I like to have that flexibility.
Okay, I'm gonna have to give it up. And then I seen it in the chat, but I just wanted to make sure to address it. Is Book Boost still a relevant training?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So just
Yeah.
wanted to help answer that question because I've seen it people referencing it. So
No, in fact, I just published some updates based upon that book workflow that I did with Manus.
yeah,
I just published some updates to Book Boost training. And that's, as you know, Margie, that's something we try to do. If we've got some updates,
yeah,
we try to publish them into the training so that, because things do change, but we try
yeah.
to make sure that we keep them applicable. If things change a ton, then
Part
we'll
two.
do a new version of it. But we've only
Yeah,
done that twice out of about 30
yeah,
trainings. So
yeah.
awesome.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thanks, Jonathan.
Margie.
I'll see you in a minute.
I have
Thanks
a
everybody
question.
for,
Oh,
yeah, go ahead.
hi. I have a quick question. I'm Crystal Noopson and I do BIM management. So I do a lot of training tutorials for Revit itself. And I was wondering when you're doing these like Amber is doing where you're giving like a book and then you're translating it into a PowerPoint, is there a way to be more specific for like if you want to do step by step, you say I want to do 1, 2, 3 versus bullet points for things that are I mean, can you be more specific
You
as you're
can be, oh
going
yeah,
down?
absolutely. You can be
Yeah.
much, much more specific. Absolutely. Yeah. So,
And
speaking of which, let's just go back here and see how
to
this
your
is the
rule
present.
page. Yeah. And so I'm sorry, I was a little confused when you were showing Amber uh a separate document. Is that something where you can say, hey, here are the rules. I want it to follow these rules?
Hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. So what I've done in order to make it easy, because I use that a lot, I just have it saved as a Google Doc, and then I can reference that Google document in any LLM that I'm using in any tool, and then it always has that same tone and style come through. So yeah.
Okay. That's really
And
great.
Amber, back to you. I know you think you've got it figured out, but I did 51 slides here. Um, so yes, it is possible to do more than that. I don't know exactly what you ran into, but it just did 51 for me without breaking a sweat. So
Yeah, I think when I was using the slide function on Manus, and when you just go into a regular chat prompt, then it creates it. So don't
oh,
use
there
the
you go.
slide generator. Use the regular
Thank you.
prompts.
Thank you for telling me that. All right. Well, guys, we will send out if you register for this and you're here, that means you probably did. We'll send a replay out. We'll also probably post it in the Facebook group and in the GHL group. So if you want the replay or anything else, just head out there and check it out. It should be up there within a couple hours. Thanks for everybody for joining us. We're thankful to have you here. And just a reminder, check out our website. We've got a bunch of events happening on Friday. 2 of them are free, and we're giving away a ton of stuff. Here in the States, it's Halloween, so we're going to play dress up and have some costumes. And if you want to win free trainings, free memberships, free swag, join us on Friday. We'll be giving a lot of that away. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day and talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.